Hello and welcome back to Bookish Brits. My name is Michelle, and for today's video I'd like to do something a little bit different and talk about one of my favorite publishers. I was thinking at the beginning of the year that there is one particular publisher who I think has the absolute best author lineup ever. And their books are so interesting and diverse, and I just love what they do, and I feel like they don't get a big enough spotlight. That is, of course, Barrington Stoke. Now, Barrington Stoke produce a great range of books every year by the most exciting names in young adult literature, young adult and children's literature, in fact, like this one, John for Short by Mallory Blackman. And what they aim to do is produce, yes, shorter stories, but really interesting, gripping stories for dyslexic or reluctant readers. Now, this book is a great example. It's got Mallory Blackman's name on it, which is amazing. It's the story of a boy who is in the hospital and he can't move. And he feels like the doctors have amputated his arms and legs and he doesn't know what's going on. And it is one of the creepiest stories that I've ever read. And what Barrington Stoke do with their books is that they produce the books on off-white paper. There's quite a lot of space between the text, so it's easier to read. There isn't any glare on like bright white pages. This one has some really great illustrations to complement the text. And of course they are shorter stories. This one is only 80 pages long. And it's brilliant. It's really, really good. And I have a whole bunch of these sort of books that Barrington Stoke do, and I don't think that I don't think they get enough credit for what they do. I don't see a lot of people talking about these Barrington Stoke stories, the authors, or the books, and I really feel like they should. I've read many of them. And I've enjoyed all of them. So I'm just going to run through a couple of the titles here. We have this one, The Devil's Angel by Kevin Brooks. This is the story of a kind of toxic friendship, and it's really, really interesting, in fact. Kevin Brooks does have a new Barrington Stoke book being published this month called Dumb Chocolate Eyes, and I'm really looking forward to it. We also have this book by Meg Rosoff called Moose Baby. It has these amazing pink edges, and this is about teenage pregnancy with a twist, because what happens is instead of a baby, this teenage couple give birth to a moose baby, wacky as you imagine it would be. I really, really loved it. We've got this one, Falling by Kat Clark. Kat Clark is one of my favourite authors, and this is the first Barrington Stoke book that I came across because I just wanted to read more Kat Clark stories, and this is about two girls who are best friends and are at a party, and one of the main character of the book is really coming to terms with her feelings for her boyfriend and also her feelings towards her best friend, and I loved it. We have this one here called Tillys Promise by Linda Newbury. This is set in World War I, and I'm not usually a big fan of historical fiction, but I figured, you know, it's only about 80 pages or so, I can do it. And actually what surprised me so much about this book is how emotional I felt. Even though it was a shorter story, there are fewer words here to capture my interest and my emotions, and Linda Newbury just really did that with this incredible story. We also have Brace Mouth, False Teeth by Sita Brahmachari. This is about a girl's experiences doing work experience at this local old person's home, and she strikes up this friendship with an older woman with dementia, and it's really, really sweet. Blind Side by Aidan Chambers. This is about a boy who has a lot of athletic talent, and he is hit by a car as he's cycling home, and he wakes up, and it's his experiences just after the accident, and the things that he's going through, the pain that he's under, the sort of uncertainty of his future, and it's really interesting. We have this book, Ring of Roses by Mary Hooper, about the plague, and this is kind of a companion novel to two of the other books that she has written about the plague, and I read this book and it was so very good that that it's made me intrigued to read the other books that Mary Hooper has written about this time period, so that I can learn more and find out more about these characters in particular. Now, Pale by Chris Wooding is really weird in that it's the story of this future in which you're able to bring back people from the dead, and it's this really gentle but fascinating story of bigotry and sort of outsider-insider dynamics, and it was fascinating. Difficult to describe, but also really, really interesting. And then we have Shadow Girl by Sally Nichols. This was really, really interesting, about a girl who befriends this other girl, and it turns out that she is in some way linked to her family history, and it was fantastic, and I really love this cover in particular. I also have 3 books by Barrington Stoke that I have not read yet. The first is Angel of Venice by Mary Hoffman. This is the story of a boy who falls in love with a girl, and he's a carpenter's son. He's a carpenter's son, but he doesn't want to go into carpentry. He wants to go off to sea, and at the same time, they're beginning this war against the Ottomans, and it just sounds really interesting. I have Jet Black Heart by Teresa Flavin. This is about a girl on holiday, and she finds some interesting thing. I'm not really sure, but it sounds interesting as well. And then we have The Night Raid by Caroline Lawrence. This month, Barrington Stoke have quite a few titles being published. I'll leave a link down below to my post on my blog called UKYA, published in May, which will give you more details about that. So that's it today, my video about Barrington Stoke books. I'd love to know if you've read any books by Barrington Stoke, if any of these have struck your fancy, and just what you think in general about what I've said today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again next time.